Please.
I'm wondering whether I should sit down because people cannot, or should I stand up where people can hear me?
Yeah.
You want to ask them, or should I?
你们认为他应该坐着还是站着说比较好？
如果我坐下来可以啊？
You can
你听得到啊？
Can you hear clear?
Can you hear me? Well, okay, all right.
Yeah,
I'll sit back down.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, 各位老朋友，
Yeah.
你好，好多老朋友喺度啊！我見到好耐冇見，各位好。Lots of change happened. One thing that haven't changed much is my Mandarin is still not very good. So if it's okay, I will speak in English. All right? 如果可以啊，你可以用普通話問問題，不過我用英文嚇，因為我的普通話還是不太好。
Yes, we're gonna give media friends time later.
Sure.
After your speech.
Okay. Yeah. Like many of you, I came to Canada with my family. We're immigrants to this beautiful city, Toronto, a city of hope. A city at that time was quite affordable. But now, I've heard, because I was teaching at Ryerson University, I heard a lot of my students said that it's really difficult to afford a place to live in the city. It's very expensive, and it's also difficult once you graduate to establish your own home, unless your parents have enough money to buy you a condo, which sometimes happens. So this city is not working completely well. Some of you were stuck in traffic coming here, right? You were stuck waiting for the bus to arrive. You might be stuck waiting for affordable childcare. And if you try to get recreation programs, you're stuck on the phone waiting to register. And the last straw for me is this. If, unfortunately, you have to call 911, you're stuck on hold, waiting for 6-10 minutes. Now, when you call 911, you're desperate. You need immediate attention. How could it be that this great city of ours, that you have to wait for many minutes for 911? That is just not acceptable. One thing else, some people are stuck in fear. A friend of mine, Henry mother, for 30-40 years, come down from Etobicoke to Wanggang Hatong, a townhouses in Chinatown, the Wong Association. She comes down and meet with her friends. They have lunch together. They sometimes play mahjong. Sometimes they gather. They do Tai Chi together. That is her life. It's about coming together, right? Especially after the pandemic. We want to be together. But lately, she's scared. She won't take the subway because she's worried that something will happen to her in the subway. Okay? They're stuck in fear. And she's not alone. I know some people won't take TTC because they're concerned. And that's not good enough. TTC, unfortunately, has become a shelter. So people that are homeless, wow, okay, people that are homeless wants to get our attention, obviously. People that are homeless, because they can't find a place, they use our subways, they use our buses, they use our streetcar as their shelter. And some of them have violent tendency, okay? Some of them also have some mental health issues. They need a home. They need to get treatment. They need to get better, right? So with all the changes, I cannot stand by. That is why I am running to be the mayor of Toronto. Dr. Joseph Wong talked about all the experience I have, and I'll spend a few minutes giving you a bit of background to my new friends. Some of my old friends know me well. some of my new friends may not know how I got involved in politics. Dr. Joseph Wong and some of my friends at the time in 1979, Chinese were driven out of Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos. Okay? The government did not want them. So they were out and they became, at that time, the boat people. They were refugees. Thank you. They were refugees. And it was difficult watching them drowning at sea. And we thought, hang on, Canada is a big country. We should allow more refugees into this country. So at a rally at Grange Park, Dr. Joseph Wong and many other people came together and started a campaign called Operation Lifeline. That was the first time I got involved politically. As a result, 200,000, mostly Chinese, but Southeast Asian refugees, came to Canada, and it became their home. They were able to contribute and make our country even better. Okay? So I got a taste of this is what politics can do. It can open up the doors for people that are in need. And then once they arrived to Canada, I thought, wait a second, they need services because a lot of them cannot speak English. So my friends and others, it wasn't me just alone, but all of us coming together, we started the Southeast Asian Legal Aid Clinic. So if you can't speak English, you get legal service. If you need mental health support, Chinese Family Life Service, Hong Fok Association. Later on, when they became a senior, the Yi Hong Foundation, right? So all of it is the power of the community coming together, creating services for others. But they also had relatives left back home in, unfortunately, refugees camp. So I got involved and I thought, wait, we need to have the family reunited. And I became an assistant to Dan Heap, the Member of Parliament at that time. Thanks to Dr. Joseph Wong again, he introduced me to Dan Heap. And at that time, Dan Heap was the NDP immigration critic. And we changed the laws and allowed many more immigrants to come to Canada, refugees, faster family reunification. That's how I got involved politically, even more involved. And then after a while I said, hang on, education. We came to Canada because we believe in our future generation. That's why I got involved in education. I became a school trustee to make sure that we have high academic standards for our children. And before long, I noticed there are other problems. When people call 911, if you cannot speak English, you're in trouble. You can't communicate. So I said, why wouldn't 911 speak other languages? So again, we came together. It took several years. Finally, 911, we won the battle. 911 speaks 240 languages now. So those are some of the things that we did together. And I'll skip back into the House of Commons. You're right. It took 23 years. 23 years campaign that we finally had the federal government said to the Chinese Canadian community, we apologize. The Prime Minister at that time said it in Cantonese. He should now say it in Mandarin too. He said, 對唔住, 對不起. Why? Because Chinese are the only people that were told they cannot come to Canada between 1923 and 1947. The only nationality that cannot come to Canada. Before that, they had to pay more, $50, and then later on $500. That's called the head tax, only to the Chinese. Okay, and wow, that's racist. Okay, and of course, Parliament of Canada needs to apologize. Of course, it needs to compensate people that suffered. Because, you know, $500 at the time at the turn of the century, right now, probably $4 million plus, okay? You can probably buy a pretty nice house with that money. So it took all of us together, and in 2006, I was very proud to be in the House of Commons when Stephen Harper, at the time the Prime Minister, said sorry and then compensated the head taxpayers and the widows. There were a lot more we did. When the store owner, Lucky Moose, David Chan, when he got arrested for defending his store, I introduced a House of Commons, a bill. We called it the Lucky Moose Bill. I worked together across the aisle, whether it's liberals or conservative. We came together and had the bill said that if you as a store owner needs to defend your store, the onus is for the government to prove that you have taken a criminal offense. It used to be that you have to prove that you're innocent. Now the government have to prove that you are not innocent, okay? Which is harder to charge. So that's the self-defense cost, and that is called the Lucky Moose Bill. It was passed in the House of Commons. I was very proud of it, right? And yes, Dr. Joseph Wong also said that we were able to get the House of Commons passing a bill to ask the Japanese government to apologize for their wrongdoings in invading China, causing 30 million deaths, and the comfort woman tragedy, right, the sex slaves. So we did a lot of work together. And then soon after, in 2015, after I left the House of Commons, 2014, I taught a lot of ordinary people to cut red tape, to learn how to make a difference, whether it's City Hall, in Queen's Park, or the House of Commons. From coast to coast, we've taught over 10,000 people to find their voice, to get their power, to make a difference. I even taught Chinese Canadian how to run for office. And some of them are making it, okay? So after all that teaching, when I saw that all of the needs that are in this city, I am stepping back in. I urge Chinese Canadian to vote, because at the last election, less than 2 out of 10 voted. Yeah, think about this. Out of 10 Chinese Canadian in Toronto, less than 2 voted. The other 8 did not. I want to open up City Hall to everyone, including the Chinese Canadians. I want City Hall to be a place where you feel you belong. I want to make sure that city government works for everyone, including the Chinese Canadian living in Toronto. So I'm asking, do come out to vote. Together we are stronger. Let's do it together. Okay? Thank you.
谢谢Olive。